Hello and welcome to Carionemus. The music you hear right now is attributed to John Dunstable. Although it is about 600 years old, it still sounds quite familiar. The individual voices mostly form intervals of thirds and sixths to each other, and sometimes move in parallel motion in those intervals. Thirds and sixths have been the most important intervals through ages. It may seem surprising that in medieval ages, the third was not considered as a stable sound, but as something that must be resolved. Did people have different ears back then? Let's listen to a piece of Petrus de Cruce, a celebrated composer of the 14th century. The more infrequent use of thirds and sixths may make the music sound a little hollow. However, the impression will change if it is performed a little differently. Medieval theory relied on a different concept of the third, based on Pythagorean tuning. This made all major seconds equally large, which resulted in a third considerably larger than the one we're used to from equal tuning. It is a much less stable sound and more of suspense. Let's listen to what Cruce's composition sounds that way. Melodies and consonances sound more sonorous, and it makes more sense that thirds are suspenseful and resolve, mostly outwards. But sometimes inwards, especially in the case of minor thirds. In music from different ages and from different parts of the world, we can more often find that intervals or chords are not regarded as somewhere else. In some cultures, seconds were used like semiconsonants long before the rise of atonality in Western classical music. But just as we saw, the thirds in medieval music are something else than the thirds we know. Those seconds used in that fashion are of a special kind. They are rather wide. In the different musical languages, when intervals are treated differently, often we can find they are actually not quite the same. A musical sound can gain meaning in different ways, and this way, different musical languages are possible. We can see what I said in a similar way in spoken language. The letters MAG will be pronounced differently depending on what language you think of. But even regardless of pronunciation, as long as it is recognizable to someone thinking in one of those languages, they will have different associations to the morpheme. What may seem similar is something else, and get us different meaning in another context, providing us a fascinating plurality of meaning. Thanks for watching. When you liked the video, consider subscribing and checking out more of my videos and articles and my Patreon. This is Karyonemus. Listen on.